All right, welcome to our call tonight featuring Liz Fischer. She's actually a new acquaintance of mine. I just met her, I don't even know, 3 weeks ago, maybe.
Maybe.
I know. We just put Simon, my 6-year-old, in this running club. He definitely gets it from his dad, not me. I am not the runner. And he loves it. And I happened to sit down next to Liz at practice because my daughter started playing with her other daughter. And we started chatting, and she said she was new to Colorado. And as we were chatting, and I asked her what she did, she told me she was a mindset coach for a company. And of course, I wanted to hear all about that because being in personal development and having done therapy and coaching myself, I was like, oh, let's talk. Not quite the response that she usually gets, I think. And as we were chatting the last couple weeks, she told me that her job at the company is to actually take prospects on the phone and walk them through the process of a sale. And so she has to help them believe enough in what they're investing in, believe enough in themselves. And she does it all by asking really amazing questions and helping them work through their own internal blocks. So I thought, oh my gosh, we need to hear from you because that's what we do. So with that being said, Liz is a former military spouse. They're still married, but he's not in the military anymore. They moved around a bunch and now they're here in Colorado, hopefully to stay for a while. She's got 3 beautiful girls, and I'm going to let her jump in and take it away.
Thanks, Joy.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I am familiar with the company, and I know that when you connect with your clients, they can change their lives. And that's really important work. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to help you do that better and help you to teach your people, your coaches, how to do that better. So first of all, a mindset coach, and Joy is absolutely right. I usually get kind of a weird look, like I have a couple heads when I say that's what I do. But what I do is I help people maintain their identity when they're building a small business. And this is exactly what you guys are doing here, is you're building not always so small businesses. And it can be kind of hard because a lot of that can challenge our sense of who we are. And so we want to start there. So as I'm talking today, I'm going to talk to you about 3 main things. One is your identity. When you wake up in the morning, how you hold that identity firm when you're interacting with people and when you're out in public. The second is the buyer's journey, when you're on the phone with them. And I am serious about being on the phone with them. It is a conversation. So it's either on the phone or in person that this needs to happen. And we'll talk about why. And then the third is how you can ask really important questions that get people in touch with how they're feeling. Because as we know, when our logical brain gets involved, that's where all the excuses and the reasons why not come in. But when we live in our emotional brain and in our body, that's where people are able to start really affecting change. Because it's hard to get people to commit to things up here in logic. We like to keep them in the emotion. Okay, so to get started, your identity as a coach or as a business builder and a leader, that begins with what you start telling yourself first thing in the morning. So it could be, I help people change their lives. I have 35 clients, or I lead a team of 25, or whatever it is that is your next step. You're going to wake up and say that to yourself. You're going to say, I earn, shoot for something big, but you're going to say that to yourself every day. And the reason that you do this is because it creates cognitive dissonance for yourself. So in your mind, you're telling yourself, I run a team of 25 people, but when you pull up your screen and there's only 5 there, then you're like, wait, that's not right. So then you start making decisions like a person who runs a team of 25 people. This is just an example, right? So when you're approaching prospective clients or when you're coaching people on your team, you're going to approach from that certainty that you know what you're talking about. So for newer coaches that these conversations are new for you, it's important to remember that when you're speaking with someone, they're talking to you because they don't know. And you do know. You know the benefits of the programs that you're offering. You know why they need them. You know how you can help. You know this. Kind of like if you walked into a doctor's office and they're like, so do you want heart surgery, or maybe you want to change your diet? Like, that wouldn't make you feel very good. You'd probably get up and walk out. Like, this person's going to kill me. I got to leave. But when the doctor walks in, they say, okay, what are your symptoms? And they listen. They say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Hard stop. That's what you do. So when you come in, like, I'm familiar with the product line. So it's not like, well, I mean, you could do a Shakeology and you could do this or this smaller thing, or maybe if you just do something smaller, maybe. But you know, and I know, and everybody in your line knows that that's not going to get them where they want to be. That's not going to change their life. So you walk in because your identity is you're the subject matter expert here, right? This is important and it's hard work. Okay. So before we move on to the next one, I know we're on a limited time frame, so I want to make sure I get the most important points across. Does anybody have any questions before we move on? No, not yet. Okay, so you can put them in the chat box, and then Joy, if you can cut me off at any time if someone has a question, and just ask, because I think that'd be the best way to make sure that everybody has the information they need. Sound good?
I think you're doing awesome. You're dropping gold already. I'm already
taking
notes.
Everybody that I can see is taking notes furiously, so that's really good. Okay, great. Okay, so secondly, let's talk briefly about the journey that your clients need to go on. They're talking to you because they have a problem. Their health is not where they want it to be. They don't look like they want to look. They don't feel like they want to feel. Chances are this is rooted in a lot of self-worth. It's rooted in being busy. It's rooted in excuses and all kinds of things that they've used for years and years not to make any change. But they've finally gotten uncomfortable enough to get on the phone or to have a meeting with you. Now, the reason I say that you have to be talking to them is because texting or messaging or emails, there is a lot of distance there. They're able to protect themselves and they can just not respond. But if you're sitting across from them or you're on the phone with them, you do have the ability to hold them to a decision. So instead of them just not writing you back, they're going to have to say yes or no. And at the end of the day, even if they say no and don't take advantage of what you're offering to change their life, you force them into something that was really uncomfortable, and the growth comes from that. So they've had to say, no, I am going to stay where I am. I'm not going to make the changes to get healthy. That's their responsibility then. It's not you. They had to say that out loud. It's hard. People don't like to do it. In my work, I have people hang up on me all the time because they're not willing to just say no. They're not willing to say no. So this is good news for you, because it's so hard for people to do that it's easier for them to take the leap and make the change. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, great. So what we're going to do is, whenever you get on the phone with your prospective client, you want to be open and slow, and you want to ask them about what's going on. What's uncomfortable? What hurts? Maybe what has brought them to you today, and that gives you an idea of where their pain is. It's a lot of times it is physical pain. Sometimes it's psychological pain from they used to be an athlete and now they're not, or they don't take any time for themselves at all during the day, because for those of us who are parents, it's really easy to take care of your kids from the moment you open your eyes until the moment you go to sleep, and that serves nobody, as we know, right? But we all remember the moment before we found that out. Not a lot of people enter that journey before, let's see if I can say this correctly. Most people find themselves out of balance before they get back in balance. So we've all been there, and now we're talking to people who are still there. So again, it's important to approach these conversations as a subject matter expert, but also remain humble, because we're not perfect. Everybody's made mistakes and been uncomfortable. So we've been there, and now it's a time to help our prospective clients really, really feel the magnitude of their problem, right? Some good questions here are, what's that like for you? And you can phrase that in a lot of ways. You can just, wow, what's that like? or how does that feel? And get them connected to what it feels like. And this is where it's really hard to do, because you're going to have to take somebody that you like and make them feel bad for a little bit. So you're going to have to hold space for them to deal with this. This is a non-judgmental space, but you really need to let them connect with what their pain is and what it's going to look like for them 5, 10, 20 years from now if they don't change. If they don't make a change in what they're doing, what's their health going to look like? Has their doctor told them about their cholesterol yet? Yet is a really important word. Have their kids noticed that they're not that active yet? Has it started affecting their marriage yet? Like, this is important stuff. And the thing is that you have something to offer that will help them. That's going to solve all of this. But they have to connect with how hard it is. They have to. If they don't, they're going to remain complacent. And, you know, being unhealthy is really detrimental to your health. It's detrimental to your family, to your community, to everybody. So this is a problem, and they need to get to that pain. So that's the hardest part of the call. It's hard for me. I struggle with it because I like the people that I talk to. And especially if you're talking to friends and family, it's going to be hard. You have to make somebody that you love and respect feel bad. And it's not even you making them, it's you holding the space for them to get there. So once they've gotten there, they've had their oh shit moment, and you'll know when it happens because the air just kind of goes out of the room. It sucks, but it's important. Then you kind of flip the script on them. So then we say, okay, so now we have some clarity around what's going on for you. It sounds really painful. But what if I could just wave my little fit lady barbell in the air and everything goes like you want it to? What does your life look like in 3 years? And then you get to do the fun part, which is letting them vision. Now, I say fun, but it's not always easy, especially for people who have never given themselves the opportunity to think about what it is that they really want. So this can be hard work too. It just feels a lot better. So we're going to talk to them about how it feels whenever they are able to run and play with their kids or their grandkids in the yard. How does it feel whenever they have a physical and their blood numbers aren't scary? How does it feel whenever they're achieving their business goals and they can take their family on vacation? How does that feel? It feels freaking awesome. That's how it feels. But you want them to connect with that. And you'll get hints whenever they're talking. If they say see a lot, you're going to say, what do you see? What does it look like for you? If they say, okay, listen, you can say, okay, draw them into that sensory experience, you know, the sounds of them crossing the finish line at a marathon, the sounds of, you know, I don't know, just like think about, you know, you're going to connect with them there because again, like we're connecting in their body, we're connecting to their vision and to their hope. So we've just had them go through this part that hurts and it sucks and they might cry and they might get mad at you and it's okay. You have to hold that for them and then take them to the part where what's your vision? What do you want? What does that look like for you? And then let them have those good emotions. Like I feel better because we just had to experience together. And now let them have that good emotion. And they're going to be able to tell the delta between, that's the difference between where they are now and where they want to be. So you can address that. Say, okay, well, there's some work to do, but, and then you will tell them how you get there. Okay, do you understand? You can say, we can get you there. Here's how. And it could be, oh yeah, thank you, Joy. You do tell them. So there are points in the conversation where you're asking them questions. You want to know how they feel, what it looks like for them, what their goals are, how they see themselves, how this is different from what their reality is. You ask them a lot of those questions. But when it comes time to, this is what we're going to talk about now, this is what we're going to talk about now, and this is how you're going to do this, that's told. If they already knew, they wouldn't be on the phone with you, right? If they already knew how to build a business and create a culture and a movement, they wouldn't be on the phone with you. If they already knew how to lose 20 pounds of baby weight and make time for themselves and feed their family healthy meals, they wouldn't be on the phone with you. But they don't know that, you do, right? So, and that's important too, especially for people that are new. It can feel a lot like, yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but you do. Even if you don't have the script you can rattle off the top of your head, you do know you have the resources and you have the ability to help people. And that's super important to hold on to that. You have to repeat it yourself, sometimes multiple times a day. I do this. I know how to do this. I help people get healthier, whatever it is that connects with you. Okay. And so then we're not quite done. So we've taken them down through their pain, up through their vision. We've connected the dots and said, here's what we're going to do. And here's the most important part. If you're on the phone, the mute button is going to be your friend, because you're going to say, this is the program that's going to get you there, and this is the cost, or this is the investment for your health. Then you hit the mute button and you just let them sit there. Let it get weird. They might be stubborn and stay quiet for a while. Probably they won't. People get super uncomfortable with silence. So then you get the opportunity to start handling objections. So they may have, I need to talk to my husband, right? Which is about money. And that's about the value. Does this all make sense? Everybody tracking? Okay. Well, I don't know. Okay. Now you guys kind of have it easy, because if somebody's telling you that they can't afford $100 of Shakeology or however much it is, that's bullshit. You know it. And they know it. That's why they're saying that. Because everybody spends $100 or $150 on something that they don't need. The point is the priorities here. So hopefully, if you've done it right, if they've really connected to their pain, then they've really connected to their vision, then the value is clear. So you hold in your mind that what you're going to propose to them is worth 3, 5, 10 times what the investment is. And as we all know, health costs over time only get higher. And this is such a minuscule, it's such a minor investment, right? Even at the most robust and the programs that are the most robust and thorough and effective, even at that level, you consider the health cost of someone who hasn't cared for their health, or the non-quantifiable health cost of someone who's never made time for themselves, the example that they set for their children and their community, the boundaries that they put up and the value they place on their life. You can't put a price on that. And so that's the thing that you hold. And when you believe it, they'll believe it. There's a whole lot there, but I think everyone's taking notes, so good job. So we take them to the pain, we take them to their heaven, we provide the value, and then we shut up. Okay? So for powerful questions, begin with how and what. Why means judgment. So try to write why really big and draw a circle and a little X through it, because that's judgment. You want them to feel the pain, but you don't want them to feel judged, because then they're defensive and then they feel like you're trying to sell them something. But you're not. You're not selling them something, you're helping them. And that is true. Like, I wouldn't be on this call if you guys weren't doing something that helps people, right? That's not my integrity. So like, you're helping people, and hold that, because for someone to spend money on themselves when they have never before, that's helping them in a bunch of ways. They're getting healthier, but they're also putting themselves first for a change. Geez, like, that's huge for their life. So, when you get to the difficult part, it can help when you remember that they're going to be better after this conversation. Yes? Yes? Okay, so no why questions. Try to avoid is and do. Can you explain to me? Instead of tell me more about that, you can say, what else? Or what's that like for you is one of my favorite ones. How does that look? Oof, how does that feel? And try to match their pitch and tone, but don't let them drag you down. Okay, that was a whole lot. That was like 10 weeks of training in like 10 minutes. So, questions?
Yes. Can you even like maybe give us an example of like a actual conversation that you had where you went through this? Maybe
Sure.
how that looked.
Sure, let me think.
And maybe while you're thinking, come up with one where you're asking them these questions and they're not really working with you. Because I think some of us, I definitely have tried that. And I actually was just having a conversation like this today with someone, and she's giving me like, not great. When I say, how does that feel? Not great. And I'm like, okay. So what's that
So
like for you? You know, like,
yeah, and she's like, it's not
keep going.
great. So you
Yeah.
have a couple of options there. Depending on the person, you could do a couple of things. My first, if your rapport is pretty good with them, I would just call it out and say, listen, you're not giving me a lot to work with here. I'm trying to understand what's going on, and not great is not super thorough. What else is there that you could tell me? Or what does great look like? Or what does not great mean? Because not great could mean a lot of different things. Not great could mean you didn't get a 200-pound back squat, or not great could mean you can't walk up the stairs. Like, you know what I mean? There's a huge difference. So I would either call it out or get like specific, say, like I just said, like, well, what does not great look like specifically? So sort of don't let them off the hook, because that's their buyer defense right there. And that is all the stuff that we've been trained to do, right? As soon as we get on the phone with someone that we think is selling us, then we're just like, all of this is in the way. So you could approach a conversation like a breakthrough call, just like a consultation. You can approach it like that. You can talk about it like that. Health consultation. Who doesn't want a health consultation? Everybody does. So you can approach it like that, because you are the fitness expert in their realm of people. So, you can say, I'm a fitness coach. I'm offering free health consultations, free fitness consultations. Let's avoid health. Let's say free wellness consultations. I mean, pick a word that's going to land with your people. So then you're already coming in as the person giving the consultation. And then you can say, okay, so not great isn't really giving me anything. So why are we on the phone? And then they could either say, I know you're trying to sell me Shakeology. I know you are. And say, okay, well, I mean, it's a wellness consultation. I want to know about what's going on with you. And that can sort of help derail their built-in defense mechanism and give you something to freaking work with. At the very least, it gives you a more interesting conversation. And it's always about them, always, always. So this is where we kind of turn all of the reflective listening that we've been taught on its head. It's not like, oh yeah, I understand that. It's, wow, yeah, you've been through a lot. What has that been like? Or what did you do to get through that? Or what do you think it is about you that made that so successful? Or not even, or, even making that more direct. What is it about you that made that so successful? Or, we want to, obviously, if we're going to start talking about characteristics, we want to keep that into positive things. So like, what is it about you that makes you sit on the couch for 10 hours a day? We want to avoid that kind of thing. But you always keep it very upfront. Like, you're here to help them. Hard stop. If they don't feel like they want to be helped today, they're going to need to tell you that. And then when they tell you that, then you've done your job. Yes, it's hard and weird, and it takes a few times to really understand, because there's a wide world of people out there who need your help. There's a lot of people. And if this person is not going to take the life preserver that you're throwing them, there's 50,000 other people out there that need it. So wish them well and move on. I think that's an important distinction. It's not about you, because it's not about you. There are a million people that could use your help. And if this person right here is not going to take that, you've got people drowning over here who are drowning who could be helped. So Godspeed. I wish you well. Here's the boat when you need it. Okay, farewell, and move on. Yeah.
Would you say that when a call goes really easy, or like maybe real fast, that it doesn't end up being a sale? They don't end up actually converting?
Sometimes. So sometimes sometimes they're easy. Like they already know all the things. And then it's really easy. Like they're just like, okay, I needed to go through somebody to buy this thing. I already know I want it. Here's my credit card, done. That's easy. I know for me that, like I've mentioned a few times, going through connecting to the pain is really hard for me to do. So if I don't do, and this doesn't happen much anymore, but when I first started, I would take a few minutes before the call to remember that nice isn't always kind. So if they get off the call liking me, but they didn't enroll in the program, I did not serve them. I can give you an example of a call that didn't go well and one that did. So on our enrollment forms, the last question that we ask is what kind of animal someone would be. And this really helps us give information about the person that we're about to talk to. So the whole form is all other stuff that relates to what we do. But the last question, this guy wrote, he'd want to be a dog in a gay household, which, like, valid. I'd want to be a dog in a gay house. It was amazing. So I entered that conversation and I was thrilled with this guy. I loved him. And we didn't connect to his pain. We kind of like glossed over that he wasn't great at marketing and he needed to scale and he wasn't hiring, like all kinds of stuff. And he didn't enroll and I couldn't serve him. And now he's still making $60,000 a month when he could be making $600,000 a month, right? So I didn't serve him. And the people that he could be helping aren't getting help. So that was my failure because I got too excited and we didn't connect to his pain. So I think about that. And so when I get on the phone with someone who's doing something amazing, I have to remember it. I have a huge sticky note. And the office that I normally work from is in a different part of my house, but the huge sticky note says nice isn't always kind. And it's not, because we have to ask the hard questions. Like, what are you doing to take care of yourself? What is that teaching your kids? How does your husband treat you when you're not making any time for yourself at all? How does it feel when you don't get 5 minutes in the bathroom because you don't set that boundary? You have to get gritty with them. And when you enter with the doctor frame or the idea as being the resident expert here to help them. Oh, sure. So let's see, what did I say? How does it feel? What did I say? Like, well, how does it feel when you can't have 5 minutes to yourself because you haven't set those boundaries? What is it like what kind of example are you setting for your kids? I'm so sorry. I said them really fast. It's a good thing this is recorded. So you have to ask those hard questions. Like, hold on, let me see if I can get back to it.
That's totally fine. If you can.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
But it is recorded. And this is why it should be over the phone, because if you message somebody that question, they're going to be offended like that.
Yes. And so when you're over the phone, or if you're in person, over the phone is a little bit easier, I think, because you're not very distracted. But either way, you're holding on to that, like, they can't just not respond because they're pissed. And if they're mad, you can use that, because you know if they're mad at you or they start crying that you've connected with something real. Like, I can tell you that if I was in a place where I wasn't setting a good example for my kids and somebody called me on that, I'd be mad, so mad. But you've used the time before to connect with them and show that you're there to help them and there's not judgment. So, again, like, so you could say, like, all right, what are we going to do about it? Like, or you can acknowledge the fact that they're mad and be like, okay. But so there's two things going on. One is in your head and be like, be mad, I'm right. Because you are. You can let them have that anger. Let them be mad at you. You're holding this big thing. It's not about you. You are not connecting to that anger. You know that you've struck a nerve. So you can say something like, what would be a response if I pissed you off? If I said, well, what kind of example are you setting for your kids, Story? Give me something. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Who are you to tell me what kind of parent I am with my kids?
Like, well, we are on the phone because a lot of times, so if we were on the phone and that happened, first of all, I'd be like, internally, I'd be like, there it is. That's the nugget that we're going to use to get her over the bridge and get her to change her life, right? That's the one. So then we would say, yeah, like, it's really important. And it's important that you're passionate about that. And there's lots of things that we can do. There's lots of ways to be a good example for our kids. If you have daughters, and like, say you're a mom and you've got daughters, when they grow up to be women, they're going to see that either it's important or it's not important to take care of themselves. And if you have sons and maybe one day they grow up and get married to a woman, they're either going to see or not see that it's important to make sure that she's got space to take care of herself. And they're going to, I mean, that's the truth. And you're there to care for them. So you don't come back at them like spiky. So if they come at you like, fuck you, don't come back like bucks in a meadow. You come back soft, like, yeah. And that's what we're here to talk about. Right? Because you don't need to fight with them. That's not your fight. That's their like thing with themselves. And you're holding this big, beautiful bubble for them to wrestle with all of this, to connect with their goals and to change their life.
And the better you can disconnect from their emotions and just let
Yes.
them have them, the better job you'll do at letting them actually sign up with you.
1000%. That is not about you. That's not your thing. So you care about them, but you do that by holding. So when they come back angry, of course, like immediately we're like, oh no, she's mad. But it's like, yes, she's mad. Okay, I think I saw half of that before it went away.
Yeah, she's Lauren says, how do you get them to a place where they want to get you on the phone? I initiate 98% of my conversations, and asking serious questions tend to get ghosted. Right. So we're saying you wouldn't ask any of these questions over message.
No, I wouldn't. I would set up a time to talk.
So like with getting them on the phone, Lauren, what I would say is, and send the invite, right? Like we always do. Hey, if I sent you info, would you check it out? Whatever. You're inviting them to check out info. When they say sure to info, you say, awesome. I have 2 times this week to chat, this time or this time. Which sounds better to you?
And what I still run into is they don't end up finding the time, or that time doesn't work, or I have a really hard time getting people on the phone. I've only been able to do it a few times, to be honest.
So Liz, what would you say to that?
I would just, let's see. So the way that we do this is a lot different because it's a totally different model. So let me think about a thing that would work really well. I actually would probably do that before I sent this stuff. I would say, hey, I've got this thing and we're doing, I'm talking to people about their wellness. Like, let's talk, let's find a time to talk. And then, you could do the thing where you offer them time, like 3 times that work for you, and have them come back. And then if they're just like, oh yeah, none of that really works, then you can say, is this about talking on the phone, or is this about being uncomfortable where you are? Like, you want to help them, they sort of need to start getting a little bit real, and you can call it out because it's about not wanting to be sold something. Like, that they're scared about what it is that you're going to get on the phone and say. So you can just call it out. Okay, but just to be sure, like, is this more about like you don't have the time, or more about you're afraid of what you could do? Whatever, like, wording that works and resonates with you might get you a little bit further.
I love the idea of offering free consultations, but I would keep them very short. If you're offering somebody something for free, it's like a 10-minute. Do you know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, it's not anything but what we just talked about. No, I'm sorry. Just 1 second. I have kids who have boundaries that need to be.
That's totally fine. So I love the idea of saying like, hey, I have some time slots I'm opening up this week on my calendar to offer 5 free consultations to the first 5 people that want them. And then like, I would keep it to that. And if they aren't taking it, somebody else is going to, type thing. Like, make it limited. I love that idea too. And then they have to get on the phone because you're not going to do it online. And I mean, you're an RN or PRN, or what are you, Lauren?
A DNP, nurse practitioner.
Yeah, so you could, hello.
I would get on the phone with you.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, they should value that for sure. And you could say that as a nurse practitioner and a wellness coach, I'm offering this type thing. And then if they still don't want to get on the phone, I don't think they want it. You know what I mean?
Then it's like that. Then that's a life preserver moment. That's like, okay, not you, next person. Okay, not you, next person. Yeah, I think a lot of that is, as a nurse practitioner and a wellness coach, there's so many people that could use that. And so I think maybe it might just be broadening your expectation of who it is that's going to get on the phone with you. But I would try that. I'm interested to see what happens. 5 wellness consultations, and then you have that same conversation and you practice. You connect them to what's going on. What are they not satisfied with? Where do they want to be? And then where's the delta? Yeah, 1,000%. Are there other questions that I missed because they weren't popping up? You're muted, Joy.
Okay. Somebody says, what if you have a close friend that is in shape, happy, social, and successful at work, and because of all of that, you think they would be an excellent coach? How do you get them interested? What kind of questions would you ask? How could you encourage them to join Beachbody?
I mean, so that's really good. So that's where, instead of connecting them with their like hell, you could connect them with a heaven, and you could just say all of that stuff. I see all of this in you, and talk about where they'd want to be, like where else they can help and serve people. That's kind of where I would start there and have that conversation with them, because that does sound like a great coach. They're already a perfect example of the actions that we want people to take.
I tell people like that, you're already successful at this. That's why you should do coaching. You're already successful in another job. That's why you should do coaching. Most successful, wealthy people have multiple streams of income, and they see MLMs as a way to fund their other businesses and their other dreams. So I approach them that way of like, you're a successful person. You clearly know something about creating success and probably wealth, I'm guessing, and building wealth. I have a great business proposition for you that could be a cash fund to fund your other dreams, or colleges, like college, if she has kids, college funds, like anything else. That's why you should do this.
Totally. And passion and purpose too, because at the end of the day, like, you're helping people. And if you're building a business, that is exponential impact. It's important. So if she's already successful, or if she's not motivated by money, some people aren't. Like, I'm not really motivated by money. I'm motivated by leaving the world a better place than I found it. So if that's her thing, then this might be her thing. Like, exponential impact might be a thing that she really connects with.
Totally. Anybody else? I had said something earlier, like when you were talking about this isn't our usual like back and forth conversation where we're like, oh yeah, totally, when we're talking to them.
Yes.
So are we basically coming from a standpoint of we listen and then we repeat back to them what they're saying, kind of in like a question, or no? What are you saying?
Not really. So that's kind of what I said, like as far as turning everything we've been taught about reflective listening on its head, because that makes it about us. Oh yeah, so what I hear you saying is,
okay,
oh, they know what they said. And if they give you a nugget and they don't know what they said, so like sometimes people will just use like a throwaway line that tells you everything you need to know. Like, I don't know, I can't give you an example right now, but you'll know, like when you're talking and they're just like, oh yeah, just like my sister or whatever, and you're like, oh, so we're competing with our sister. Got it. Like, they're giving you a nugget, right? So you're going to say something like, let's talk about your sister, or let's talk about how you view yourself and your family. How does your, so then you pick that up and ask them about that. You're kind of just curious for a while because you want to find out what's really motivating them. And is it pain, or is it pushing away from something or pulling towards something? So that is really hard because it overcomes a lot of programming. So instead of like, so I'm hearing you say that you want to get healthy, and they're like, bitch, I just said I want to get healthy. Like, that's not moving the conversation along. Mm-hmm. So they say, well, I really just want to get healthy. Okay, what does healthy look like for you? Mm-hmm. So you're not talking about anybody else. I know what healthy looks like for me. They don't care what healthy looks like for me. They want to know. We're talking about what healthy looks like for them. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody else says, what about using Facebook voice messages if they didn't have time for a full-on conversation? That way you can hear each other's voices and the emotion in the conversation.
And I would use that as a last resort if you have to. Like if they're not going to get on the phone with you, I would maybe use that message to say, let's talk on the phone. It is a little distant. I don't love it, but that's a last resort. I think if you just really can't make anything else work and you want to practice this, I would not, if I were you, don't get too sad if nothing happens. Consider it to be good practice.
I think the whole point of getting them on the phone is because then people have to have the conversation once and for all and make a decision once and for all.
Yeah, that's
the online get drug out forever. Like they can hide forever. Like, let's just either do this or don't, because like Liz said, you have other people that you could be helping and spending this energy on.
Yeah. And I may just call that out. Just again, like be like, is this really about the time, or is this because you don't feel like talking about this right now? That keeps you in your authority, and it makes them, again, it like makes them make a decision. And so they have to say, I really don't want to talk about this right now. So then you're good. Wish them well.
Mm-hmm. And when you have the guts to do that, then people do see you as someone they can trust to sign up with, right? Like you have to have the, I don't even want to say like the guts, because it's not like guts, but you have to have like a certain, I guess maybe standard that you set.
It is a certainty. Like you don't have time to chase them. You don't. Even if you feel like you do have time to chase them because you don't have the number of clients that take your full capacity, you don't have time to chase them. You should never be begging someone to sign up with you ever. That's not what you do. When you're begging, you've given away all your power. That's like life advice. Like don't ever, you know what it is, you know the value. If you've done your job on this call, they've connected with that value, and now they're going to have to say yes or no. And more often than not, they're going to say yes. But that's really important. That's important for you too, because it sucks to be told no. That sucks. But if this whole conversation has been about them, they're not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. And there's not a lot you can do about that.
Any other last minute questions? We were maybe going to do a little bit of role play if anybody has any role play they want to do. Or if you have like a conversation that you've had and you're like, I don't know how to navigate it, feel free to pipe up now and Liz will role play it with you. Or we can just pretend.
That's okay.
I mean, I'm gonna suck at it, but I'll try.
Okay.
It'll be amusing for everyone at least.
Do you want to be the prospect, Lauren? And you want Liz to be like signing you up, or what do you want to do?
Whichever.
Okay, let's try it where you be the prospect. And
okay.
Can you give us like a little download about how it went, maybe? And we can see if we can change the script a little bit.
Like, do you have a specific conversation in mind?
The only times that I've gotten somebody on the phone is twice, and they both said yes, but then they ghosted the sign up. So.
Oh, which important point? Make them sign up while you're on the phone.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through it all the way through with the credit card, everything.
100%. You wait until you see it. I don't know how your system works. Can you see that receipt come through?
You can see in your back office usually, or now you can opt to get like an email and stuff when they sign up. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Shay. So that's the cool part about this is you'll be able to create a share cart on the spot, and you can go through the whole adding on things and like customizing it to them, because at this point in time, if you've done this correctly, they are desperate to change. So they're going to be pretty open to what you're suggesting as far as stuff goes. And then I would stay on the line and say, yeah, I'm going to walk you through this, because sometimes people don't get the cart or whatever. Like, I want to make sure you're all good to go. Isn't that what you do, Liz?
Yeah. I mean, our process is different at the end, but but for sure, like I don't get off the phone until I have a signed contract and a credit card number. And this way you are avoiding a lot of like oh, well, I couldn't find my debit card, or it wasn't working, or I lost internet service, like a bunch of bullshit, like last minute buyer remorse kind of things. Like, you're holding them in that certainty and not letting all their saboteurs come in and screw it up for them.
What if they try to on the spot? What if they're like, oh, well, like my credit, I don't know, like, well, I don't know what they would say. I don't have my credit card on.
Like, okay, let's walk out to the car and get it. Like this all seems very simple. And it's so, and again, at that point, like, I love the call out. It's so good. Like, really, do you really not have it? Or is this because you're scared about the change that you're about to see?
Ooh,
you know, and that's an important thing to consider too. And you may not even have to tell this to your clients, but change is scary, even if it's good change. They know what their life looks like now, but they don't know what their life looks like when they weigh 50 pounds less. They don't know. And sometimes just that fear of, I don't know what that's going to be like, can be a really powerful detractor for action. So, you know, when we approach these conversations, we approach it with empathy, that this is scary and hard for them. It's scary and hard. And in order to serve them, you have to hold them to this. So, you know, don't let them slide out from under you. Like, oh yeah, I'll do it later. No, do it right now. And I'm here to support you.
I love that.
Yeah, it's important. And it holds you too, because it's hard. It's hard. It is hard as a person who is providing this service to them and helping walk them through this. It's kind of like, it's really hard. And when they when they start feeling like they want to give you objections or reasons why not, it stays hard. So it can be tempting to be like, oh, you can't have your credit card. Okay, have a good day. It can be tempting to like piece out of the conversation yourself, but that's part of your certainty. Your doctor doesn't walk out of the room just because you have really high cholesterol. They dig in and they fix it.
Also, your doctor wouldn't let you walk out if you were like, oh, shoot, I don't have my credit card.
Yeah, if you're like, that's adorable, you're still going to pay. Yeah, that's crazy. So, yeah, that might help a lot.
I love it. Anybody else have any last minute things they want to say? I don't want to take up too much of your time. Liz, tell us really quickly where everybody can find you and who you work with.
So I work for a company called BGSD Strategies, and we help struggling small businesses kind of turn it all around and thrive. It's really fun. So my job as a mindset coach is kind of what I just told you. I help people stay in their certainty and overcome like our internal scripts that sort of get in the way of being successful. That is really what I do. So I hold space for folks to deal with this stuff all the time. So part of my job is to enroll the right people into the course. You know, it's a very specific skill set that people need to have already before they come in. So part of my job is to kind of make sure that we get the right people in there. And then outside of that, I do coaching in general for business people and non-business people alike. Typically, my clients are people that are trying to prioritize their own health and wellness, kind of like you guys, but a little bit different because I don't have a product that I offer to them. The way that I approach coaching is considering that everyone is creative, resourceful, and whole already, and that the solutions that they need are already kind of locked inside. And so we just sit there and talk about it until those solutions bubble up, and then people are able to connect with things that are going to work for them. So that's what I do. It's great. I love it. And it gives me the flexibility to go to track practice and meet awesome people.
And where can we find you?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm on Instagram. I'm Liz Fischer 4, and on Facebook as well. Liz Fischer, and I'm sitting on a glacier. It might be the picture that was on the event, maybe.
I think it is. Yeah.
That's it. And then my email address is Fischer, fischer04@gmail.com. So I'm happy to answer any questions or support you guys as you move forward in this.
Somebody's asking if you have a book, so it sounds like you need to write one.
Okay, universe, thank you. That was not in the plan, but okay.
Thank you so much for getting on.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together. This was great.
I got a whole bunch of notes, and I love the questions that I'm going to start using to ask people now. And you know that you would absolutely kill it building your own MLM team because you could coach them all through their own stuff. Just saying. But anyways, thank you for being on. We so appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Everybody have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.